connect my headphones. Give me 1 second. All right, that should be better for sound. All right, let's go ahead and get started in that seated position. So again, if you want to elevate those hips on a block or on a pillow, maybe a really thick blanket, that works too. Just start a little bit slower. Just starting to wake yourself up, focusing on that breath. And just coming to this space, so just letting those palms rest on those knees. And closing down those eyes. Taking that big breath in, sitting up as tall as you can on that inhale. So really letting that breath fill those lungs. Pull in a little bit more air. And then exhale that breath out, just nice and slow. If you want to make it an audible exhale, you can. Again, just big breath in. Sit up as tall as you can. Pull in even more air. And exhale that breath out. Again, big breath in. And exhale. Closing down the mouth again, continuing to take that really big breath in through the nose. You'll feel that belly expand as you fill that lowest part of the lungs to the middle, then all the way up into the collarbone. Pull in as much air as you can, and then exhaling it out, just nice and slow. Again, your time, just focus on that breath. That's full inhale, nice slow exhale. Just quieting the mind, just being here in this space. And then we'll inhale, start to reach those arms up overhead. And flip those palms, start facing forward. Draw those elbows down, open up through that chest. Good, inhale, reach those arms back up. And exhale, pull those elbows down. Inhale, send it back up. And last time, draw those elbows down, big opening through that chest. Good, inhale, reach those arms back up. So this time we're gonna bend into, so I'll move you guys, that right elbow. The left hand is gonna reach for it, so keep the abs nice and tight as we press that head back into that forearm. And try not to arch back here. Keeping that rib cage pulling down, core nice and tight. Again, really avoiding letting the arm yank that head forward too. Sitting up as tall as you can. And one more breath here. And then we'll switch sides. Once you reach those arms up, we'll bend into that left elbow. You're patting yourself on the back. Right hand's gonna reach for it. Press that head back. And sitting as tall as you can. You want that neck nice and neutral. Good, then we'll reach the arms back up. So this time we're gonna interlace those fingers behind the back, opening up through that chest. Now, if that's a little much for you this morning, okay, you can always lower those hands down. So we'll have the thumbs forward, the fingers back. Okay, just open up through that chest, so pulling those shoulder blades together. It's the same idea, just a little bit more gentle if those shoulders are a little bit tight this morning. Good, one more breath here. And then again, we'll release those arms up overhead. We're gonna bend into that right elbow. Left hand reaches for it. Press that head back into the forearm. Hold it for another breath. And then we're just gonna gently bend it over to that left side. Inhale, bring it back up. We'll switch sides, bending into that left elbow. Press the head back, hold it for a breath. And we'll find that gentle bend over to that right side. Inhale, both arms will reach up. You can draw those elbows down, so your choice to lower those hands down towards the ground, or you can interlace those fingers behind the back. Just open up through that chest. So I just want you guys to avoid rounding forward to get those fingers interlaced. Okay, it's gonna be better on those shoulders to just bring your hands back here and just sit up nice and tall. Again, so no right or wrong way. And one more breath. And now we're gonna release those hands. Go and come onto those hands and knees. Few rounds of cat-cow, so really spread those fingers out, pressing into those palms. On that inhale, we're gonna drop the belly, lift the chest, lift the tailbone as we look up. Exhale, round that spine, pressing the shoulder blades away from each other, pressing that upper back, mid back, low back up towards the ceiling as we rotate that tailbone down towards the ground. And then inhale, drop the belly, lift the chest, lift the tailbone as we look up. And exhale, round. And inhale, lift and lengthen. Exhale, round. So one more time. Inhale, lift. And round. And then we'll bring it to that neutral spine. So keeping the abs tight, keep those hips high over those knees, sliding those hands forward. Now as we do so, we're not relaxing into those arms. I want you to be really strong and active through those hands. Press into those palms, pulling those forearms towards each other. So maybe elbows are lifted off of the mat. If you have a little bit more shoulder mobility, those elbows will lower down. That's okay. But really think of squeezing those forearms towards each other, pressing into those palms as we rest that forehead down towards the ground. Again, if those shoulders are really, really tight, you might be hovering up here above the mat. That's okay. Now from here, we're gonna lift up slightly, but you just slide that left arm underneath the right, lowering that left ear down towards the ground. So our left fingers are reaching out towards the side. Now from here, two options. You can either slide this right hand back so it's underneath the shoulder, just gently press and open up. So kind of easing over that shoulder too as we twist. And try not to sway those hips from one side or the other. Keep those hips pointing straight back. Now again, next option would be to turn that thumb back, bringing it to the back of the hand towards the tailbone, and then open up through that chest. One more breath here, finding that rotation through that upper back. Slowly release that hand down. Now from here, we're just gonna slide that arm forward. Now we're gonna take that twist out of it. Okay, squaring off the shoulder. So the idea of bringing that left hand to that shoulder blade and pulling it down. Now you don't actually have to do that, but that's kind of the idea of bringing that armpit down towards the mat. It's softening here. And then we'll bring it to the other side. So go ahead and just slide that left arm forward. Right hand is going to slide underneath as we lower that right ear down. Again, now we'll just slide that left hand back so it's right underneath the shoulder. Press and twist, so keep those hips pointing straight back. Just opening up, finding that rotation through that upper back. Now again, if you want to take it a little bit further, bring the back of the left hand to that hip. Big breath in and exhale, twist. So gazing up over that shoulder as we find a little bit more rotation through that thoracic spine, that upper back. And then go ahead and release it. So slide that left hand forward. Again, you can take that right hand and pull that shoulder down, bringing that armpit, that shoulder down towards the mat. Left arm is reaching out long, and soften here for a couple breaths. Slide that hand forward. Go and come back up onto those hands and knees. Few more rounds of cat-cow. If you want to add those sways from side to side, you can. Just any movements that you need to loosen up this spine. And now bring it back to neutral. Go ahead and step those feet back to our plank. And then we'll send those hips up to the sky, that downward facing dog. Slight bend into those knees if you need to. You want that nice flat back. That belly is pressing back to those thighs. Tailbone's pressing up towards the sky. And then heels are pressing down towards the mat. It's okay if the heels don't touch. You really want to focus on that flat back, finding space between those vertebrae, that stretch through the hamstring and calves. Make it staying really active through those hands. That same idea of pressing into those palms, pulling those forearms towards each other to stabilize through those shoulders. And then we'll inhale on the toes. Bend into those knees as we look forward, stepping those feet all the way up to our hands. Finding that flat back on the inhale. And exhale, sliding those hands down as we fold. And just let the head and the arms hang nice and heavy. One more breath. And then we'll lengthen back out. We're going to take a big, big step back with our right foot. Nope, take that back. Left leg is going to step back, lowering that knee down. Inhale, reaching those arms up overhead. So just loosen up those hip flexors, especially if you're going to be sitting all day. So rib cage down, pressing those hips forward. We're going to add a little twist to this. So left arm is going to reach forward, right arm reaches back, looking towards that back thumb. And we're going to flip that palm, reach it up as this right hand reaches forward, that hamstring. So we can gaze over that shoulder, finding that heel. This is a little bit too aggressive and you just want to stay here in that twist. That is just fine. As we reach that left arm up, we just get a little bit more stretch through this side body here. And then we'll reach both arms back up, rib cage down, hands will come to heart center. Think about, we're gonna reach that chest forward first, and then we're gonna twist. So left elbow is just gonna hook across that right knee, press into those palms as we twist, looking over that right shoulder. And then we'll bring it back to center, lower those hands down. We can curl that back toe under and then step that foot forward. Find that flat back on the inhale. And exhale, fold. And now on that inhale, we're gonna lengthen back out. This time we're gonna step that right foot back. A big, big step, lower that knee down. Inhale, we're gonna reach those arms up overhead. So you'll start to feel it in this right leg now, the front of the right leg. Rib cage down, reaching those arms up, pressing those hips forward as much as you can without arching through that low back. We're gonna keep that nice and tight. Now we're gonna reach right arm forward, left arm is gonna reach back. So we're twisting towards that forward knee. Now flipping that right palm, reach it up towards the ceiling as that left hand just reaches for that hamstring. Look over that shoulder. One more breath. We'll reach both arms back up. Hands will come to heart center. So bring that chest forward. So we're reaching that right elbow forward and then twisting it across. So press into those palms, lifting that belly off of the thighs, core is tight as we twist. Yeah, then we'll bring it back to center, lowering those hands down. Okay, curl the back toes under. Lift. Okay, now instead of stepping those feet forward, we're gonna walk those hands wide. Okay, so we're gonna be in that wide leg forward fold. Slight bend into those knees, flat back on the inhale, and then exhale, fold. So walking those hands back as far as you can. Bending those knees as much as you need to, especially if this is a little bit tight. Again, if we have that block handy, hey, we could just stack those hands right on that block too. Again, flat back as you fold. A big breath in through the nose, lengthen through that spine a little more, and then exhale, maybe you fold a little deeper. And then inhale, lengthen back out. We're gonna turn those toes out just a few degrees, and then we're gonna lunge it over to that your all's right side. So try and keep this heel down. The hips might be a little bit higher. We want that back nice and flat. This knee is pressing out. Good. Keep those hips low as we bring it over to your left side. So again, this heel stays down, knee presses out, chest stays lifted. Good. Hips are low, bringing it across. Again, over to that right side. If you want to add a little something extra to it, just extend that arm out. So kind of pressing that knee out, and then we'll twist, reaching that arm up. So it's just an option, a little bit more opening through the upper back and through those hips. Good. And we'll bring it over to that other side. Again, if you want, just extend one arm down, one arm reaches up. Drop those hips down as low as you can, keeping that heel grounded down. And we'll go one more time each way, walking those hips over into that lunge, that side lunge. And we'll bring it back to center. We'll go over to the other way. Good. Bring it back to center. Bring those toes in nice flat back on that inhale. And exhale, fold. And now we'll walk those hands back to the front of the mat, stepping those feet back to our plank. If you need to lower the knees down, you can. We'll shift that weight forward, lower it down onto the stomach, point those toes, roll the shoulders down and back, lifting through the chest. Just starting with that baby cobra, so rib cage lowers down. Then soften it back down. We'll press up a little bit higher if the body's allowing. Soften it back down, and then we'll press. So again, you can come to that same place you were earlier. If you want to press all the way up into that upper facing dog, that option too. Think about rolling, rotating those elbows back, pulling those shoulders down, really, really tall through the crown of the head. So nice tall neck, nice long neck. And then we'll exhale, curl those toes under, pressing those hips back up towards the ceiling for that downward facing dog. Okay, now we're going to step that right foot outside that right hand, back knee lowers down, chest is pulling forward, bending into those elbows, so lowering those forearms down onto that blocker. Maybe you can make your way all the way down to the forearms. And breathing here. Good, then come back onto those hands. Go ahead and send that leg back to our down dog. Take a breath here. Then I will step that left foot outside that left hand. And back knee's gonna lower down. Back is nice and flat. We're pressing those hips forward. So we're kind of working towards that nice straight line here. We don't want to over rotate so that hip is on the ground. We want to keep those hips, think about keeping those hip bones square to the front of the mat. And then from there, we can lower down onto those forearms, keeping that chest pulling forward. And breathing, softening into this. I know this can be kind of a big stretch, especially since it's a little bit early in the morning. And one more breath. And then come back to those hands. Go and step that foot back and take that breath in down dog. And then we'll step the feet forward and then sit those hips down. So we're going to come into that seat, reaching those arms out long and then rolling it down. One vertebrae at a time. It can be as fast or as slow as you like. And reaching those arms up overhead. And then we're going to hug that right knee in to the chest and twist that knee across. The right arm is going to reach out. Maybe looking towards that right hand, that full spinal twist. And bring it back to center. We'll go to the other side. Left knee's going to hug in, right leg extends out. And then we'll use that right hand to guide that knee across as that left arm reaches out into that twist. And then bring that knee back to center. Hug both knees in. Just start to rock forward and back. We'll come all the way up into that seat. Again. Finding that comfortable seated position. Hands are on those knees. Shoulders are relaxed down. Lifting through that chest. Now as we close down those eyes, and just take those big breaths in through the nose. And exhale it out through the nose. Let's go 3 more just like that. Big breath in, pulling as much air in as you can. And making that exhale as slow as possible. Again, big breath in. And exhale. The last one, big breath in. And exhale. All right, thank you guys so much. Have a great day. And I will see you on Saturday.